Have you ever wondered how Overwatch 1 stacks up against its successor, Overwatch 2? Today we're going to embark on a journey to unravel just that. We'll take a deep dive into both of these gaming giants, comparing them on various fronts, and exploring what makes each one unique. Overwatch 1, the progenitor of the series, has etched its name in the annals of gaming history. Known for its dynamic gameplay and diverse roster of characters, it built a community that's still going strong. Its successor, Overwatch 2, stepped into the arena with a promise of enhancement and evolution. Tagged with a fresh coat of paint, new modes, and even more characters, it aimed to take the legacy forward. But is newer always better? Well, that's the question we're here to answer. We'll compare gameplay, visuals, characters, and the overall community support. As we delve deeper, you'll find that the devil is indeed in the details. First off, let's tackle the heart of any game. Its gameplay. When it comes to Overwatch 1, the gameplay was straightforward. Two teams of 6 players each, with each player having a unique hero with special abilities, fighting to achieve various objectives. The mechanics were simple yet deep, offering a perfect blend of strategy and action. Overwatch 2, however, takes a slightly different approach. The team size has been reduced to 5 players with 1 tank, 2 damage, and 2 support heroes. This change in team composition fundamentally alters the gameplay dynamics, making it more focused on individual skill rather than team coordination. As for character abilities, Overwatch 2 introduces a leveling system where heroes can unlock and upgrade abilities as they progress. On one hand, this adds an element of progression and customization that was missing in Overwatch 1. But on the other hand, it also introduces a level of complexity and imbalance that can potentially disrupt the game's competitive nature. Now let's talk about game modes. Overwatch 1 was primarily a PvP, player versus player game, with modes like Assault, Escort, and Control. Overwatch 2, in contrast, introduces PvE, player versus environment modes, where players team up to fight against AI-controlled enemies. While these new modes offer a fresh take on the Overwatch formula, they also divert from the game's original competitive spirit. Overwatch 2 also brings in a new game mode called Push, which is a tug-of-war style match where teams compete to move a robot towards the opponent's side. Although it's a fun addition, it doesn't significantly alter the gameplay experience, so while Overwatch 2 does bring some new elements to the table, the question is, does it enhance or detract from the core gameplay experience? It's a question of preference, really. Some players may appreciate the added complexity and variety, while others may yearn for the simpler, more streamlined gameplay of Overwatch 1. But in the end, the essence of Overwatch, the fast-paced action, the strategic team play, and the unique hero abilities remains intact in both versions. Moving on, we turn our attention to the eye candy, the visuals, and artistic style. This is where games truly get a chance to shine, to stand out from the crowd. It's the playground where artists and developers bring their visions to life, creating immersive worlds that captivate and enthrall players. In comparing Overwatch 1 and 2, there have been some notable changes in terms of graphics and art style. The original game had a distinctive, cartoonish aesthetic that was vibrant, colorful, and packed with personality. It was a world that felt alive, brimming with character and charm. Overwatch 2, on the other hand, has taken a slightly different approach. While it retains the core essence of the original, it has introduced some subtle changes. The colors are a bit more subdued, the textures more detailed, and the overall look feels more polished and refined. There's a sense of maturity that wasn't as prominent in the first game. Some may argue that these changes have enhanced the visuals, giving the game a more modern and sophisticated look. It's as if the world of Overwatch has grown up, evolved. It's like comparing a comic book to a graphic novel. Both have their unique charm, but they offer a different experience. Others, however, may feel that the original's vibrant, playful style was part of its appeal. The changes, while impressive from a technical standpoint, might have taken away some of the charm and character that made the original so beloved. It's akin to replacing a hand-drawn animation with a CGI version. It may be more advanced, but does it have the same soul? The visuals can indeed make or break a game, and in this case, it's a matter of personal preference. Whether you prefer the bright, bold aesthetics of Overwatch 1 or the more refined, mature style of Overwatch 2, both games offer visually stunning experiences that are a feast for the eyes. So which one do you lean towards? Now let's delve into the soul of the game, its characters and storyline. In any game, characters are the beating heart, the living, breathing entities that players connect with. In Overwatch 1, the character roster was diverse, each with their own unique abilities, backstories, and personalities. From the time-traveling Tracer with her cheeky charm to the stoic cowboy McCree, Overwatch 1 had a character for every kind of player. The storyline, while not presented in a traditional narrative format, was richly woven into the game through character dialogues, maps, and external media. This created a world that was immersive and intriguing, inviting players to explore and piece together the story on their own. Overwatch 2 attempted to expand on this foundation, introducing new characters and a more explicit storyline. The sequel brought in additional heroes like Sojourn, the first Canadian hero, and Echo, the adaptive AI. Each new character added a fresh dynamic to the gameplay, broadening the possibilities for team compositions and strategies. However, where Overwatch 2 truly diverged from its predecessor was in its approach to storytelling. Unlike Overwatch 1, the sequel chose to present its narrative through a series of story missions. These missions allowed players to experience the lore firsthand, rather than piecing it together from snippets of dialogue and environmental clues. While this approach provided a more straightforward narrative, it arguably took away some of the mystery and discovery that made the original game's story so engaging. Overall, the sequel's attempt to expand the character roster and narrative was a double-edged sword. On one hand, it brought in fresh elements and a more direct storytelling approach. On the other hand, it potentially diluted some of the charm and intrigue that made the original game's characters and storyline so captivating. So, whether you're more invested in the characters or the storyline, both games offer something unique. Each has its own strengths and weaknesses, and the choice between the two ultimately comes down to personal preference. In the end, the best game is the one that resonates most deeply with you, the player. And finally, let's not forget about the community and support, often the lifeblood of any online game. When it comes to the player base, Overwatch 1 had a head start. It was able to grow and nurture a robust community of gamers from all walks of life. This community wasn't just built overnight. The players stood by the game through the highs and the lows, and this loyalty created a sense of camaraderie that was hard to replicate. On the other hand, Overwatch 2, being the new kid on the block, has yet to garner the same level of player devotion. While it's true that many players from Overwatch 1 migrated to the sequel, there's still a sense of fragmentation that the second installment is grappling with. Community engagement is another aspect where Overwatch 1 shines. The game's forums, social media pages, and fan sites were bustling with activity. Players engaged in lively debates, shared their gameplay strategies, and even created fan art and fiction. This level of engagement created a vibrant and dynamic community. However, Overwatch 2 has struggled to evoke the same level of enthusiasm. The conversations are less frequent, and the passion seems diluted. In terms of developer support and updates, Overwatch 1 was regularly updated with new content, balance tweaks, and bug fixes. The developers were actively engaged with the community, listening to their feedback and making necessary changes. However, the updates for Overwatch 2 have been less consistent. While the developers have promised more content in the future, the current pace has left some players feeling neglected. At the heart of it all, the community and support for a game are what breathe life into it. They determine its longevity and its impact, and in this aspect, it seems that Overwatch 1 had a certain spark, a certain magic that Overwatch 2 has yet to capture. At the end of the day, a game is only as good as the community that surrounds it. To wrap things up, let's summarize our findings. We've delved deep into the worlds of Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2, examining their gameplay, visuals, characters, storyline, and community support. In terms of gameplay, Overwatch 1 has a charm that Overwatch 2 has struggled to replicate. The visuals, while enhanced in the sequel, lose a certain artistic style that made the original game so unique. The characters and storyline of Overwatch 1 were rich and engaging, while the sequel, although adding new elements, could not quite match the depth of its predecessor. In terms of community support, both games have strong followings, but there's a sense of nostalgia and loyalty towards Overwatch, one that makes its community especially vibrant. So, we've seen that Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2 each bring something different to the table. So while both games have their strengths and weaknesses, it's up to you, the player, to decide which one truly stands out.